is in this particular case right here, all right, for the first 12 questions, there's nothing difficult about it. When you write a fraction, you can write a fraction with any numbers on top and bottom, except you cannot divide by 0. All right, you cannot divide by 0. So you can have any number on the top. All right, it doesn't matter, any number on the top. Any number can be on the bottom except 0. All right, if you try to divide by 0, your calculator will say error. All right, you cannot divide by 0. Now, why can't you divide by 0? So let's take a look and see. All right, if I said, for example, 0 divided by 5, right, that is 0. The question is, why is it 0? Because it's simply a division problem. 5 times what is 0? 0. That's why that's 0. All right, if you do it the other way, for example, 5 divided by 0, the question is, what times 0 is 5? What times 0 is 5? Nothing. That's why there is no solution. All right, so in algebra or any advanced math, you're going to be working with variables. All right, and we say there are restrictions on the variables if the variable is in the denominator. All right, the quantity that's in the denominator cannot be 0. So if you're paying attention and you're listening carefully, all right, for what values of the variable in each rational expression makes it undefined? All right, so I'm looking at question number 1. What value of x would make it undefined?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
What would it be? 5. The reason it's 5 is because if I were to let x equal 5, I would end up with 5 over 5 minus 5, which is 5 over 0. All right, and that would come up as an error, or it's undefined. All right, so what we say is x cannot equal 5. That's how I want you to address that. X cannot be 5. X can be anything else except what? X can be anything else except 5. So if we're looking at number 2, all right, y can be anything except y cannot equal -7. Perfect. All right, now if you look at number 3, is there a restriction?
no.
There's no restriction because there are no variables in the denominator. All right, so here we say there are no restrictions. There are no restrictions. All right, and if you look at number 4, you could do what? Say the same thing. There are no restrictions. All right, just stop talking to me. All right, number 5. All right, here we go. So what, or a little bit harder, what is the restriction here? Very good. X cannot equal 1/2. Now, for those of you guys who are like, I'm not sure what you're doing, all you're doing is you're taking what's ever in the denominator and saying it cannot equal 0. All right, and then you're just solving that equation. So to solve that equation, everybody in here, there's no +1 divide by 2 anymore. You're supposed to just look at that and say x cannot equal what? 1/2. Everybody needs to be able to do that. All right. All I did was I added 1 and then divided by 2. All right. So because we are smart, number 6.
-1/3.
I don't want you to just say -1/3. I want you to say
That's 9.
x cannot equal -1/3. All right, now we've done 6 problems. You should be kind of familiar with that now. Anybody have any issues? Anybody have any issues? All right, here we go. Number 7. X cannot equal 0. What about 8? Still, x cannot equal 0. Come on now, everybody write down the answer to 9, 10, 11, and I want everybody to try number 12. Give you 2 minutes. All right, number 12 is the only one that's hard. All right, the others should be no problems. If you can get 9, 10, 11, and 12, then you know what you're doing. All right, like I said, 12 is the hard one. Thirty more seconds. Come on, have them all done. And then you'll see, do I know what I'm doing? All right, number 9. What do we have for number 9? X cannot equal -2. Anybody have any issues with that? Number 10.
X cannot equal 7/3.
X cannot equal 7/3. Is that good? Good with that? Not really. I don't know what not really means. Come on.
Yeah, I'm just like confused.
There's nothing to be confused about. The rule is set the denominator equal to 0. That's what the rule is. So the denominator is the expression on the bottom. So I better write down 3x minus 7 cannot equal 0. That's all there is to it. Now, from there, it's just going back to pre-algebra like first semester. How do you solve that? We just do what? Move the 7 over. So I add 7 to both sides. So now I have 3x cannot equal 7. Now what do I do? Divide by 3. X cannot equal 7 divided by 3. Any issues with that now? Just set the denominator equal to 0. That's it. So number 11 is what?
0. X cannot equal 0.
X. What?
X cannot equal 0.
Cannot equal 0. That's the answer. All right. Now, number 12 is hard because there was a fraction. But because you just listened, you're going to write 3x plus 1/3 cannot equal 0. So what do I have to do first?
Move the 1/3.
Move the 1/3. So 3x cannot equal what?
-1/3.
-1/3. Now, what do I do?
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3, or I like multiply by the reciprocal. The reason I like multiplying by the reciprocal is because I'm dealing with fractions. So I'm multiplying by 1/3. So x cannot equal what? -1/9. All right, that's it. All right. Again, if you're not 100% sure of the directions, you are simply saying, set the denominator equal to 0 and solve it. That's how you find the restrictions. All right. The reason that's the restriction is because if you were to plug that number in, you would end up with a 0 in the denominator. You're not allowed to have 0 in the denominator. All right. So there we go. Now, 13, 14, 15, and 16, we don't need a calculator for that. We're going to practice our mental math here. All right. All we're doing now is we're just plugging in. So the numerator becomes what? 6. Come on now. All right, participate, do it. Don't just write the answers down. That's what I'm telling some of you your problem is. You just write my answer down. Go on, be happy. All right, then you take a quiz. You don't know what you're doing. So brand new material. No one knows. All right, everybody's in the same position. All right, you do the work and you'll make the grade. That's how easy math is. Now, the denominator would be what? 3. 2 times 2 minus 1. We don't need a calculator for that. And so now 6 divided by 3 today is 2. Now, technically, it's not x equals 2 because it's not an equation. All we're doing is we're evaluating an expression is what they call that. And that just happens to be a rational expression, which just means it's a fraction. That's it. All right. So now 14, because we are brilliant, the numerator is going to be what? 10 over, and the denominator is going to be 5, which means the answer is 2. Nothing to it. Nothing. That's all we're doing. Plugging the numbers in. That's what's meant by evaluate the expression. All right, let's check out 15. Now you got to be a little bit more careful because there's negatives. So if I plug -6 on the top, everybody should be able to do the mental math there, and we get what? -9. Then I plug -6 on the bottom, it becomes -3. So that just is what? 3. Easy as that. Nothing to it. All right, let's knock out 16. The numerator becomes -15. And the denominator becomes -5. So it's just 3. Now, listen, I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, but does everybody understand? If you're having trouble with that mental math, that's the problem. That's a major problem when you try to do advanced math. All right. If you're having trouble with the arithmetic, you have to go back and practice the arithmetic. I promise you the math is not that difficult. All right. But you got to get faster at the calculator work, or the non-calculator work, I should say. All right. Now, someone made a great observation. All right. Yeah, we've already done this section once. All right. We've already done this section once. All right. So it should be kind of just a review. And it looks like we're doing a bunch of what? Factoring. We're doing a bunch of factoring. All right. Factoring is in every math subject. All right. That's why if you're good at it now, the higher level math will be easier. All right. And so for those of you guys who forgot, it's a good time to remember now. Let me help you. All right. So here we go. I prefer not to have a bunch of homework. So if you don't know something, raise your hand. All right. Don't just write down my answers. All right, here we go. That's embarrassing. 14 over 21 just reduces to 2/3. All right, they're trying to show you the basics are the same application to the more advanced stuff. All right, so for number 18, I can divide by what? 15. All right, for those of you guys who know. For those of you guys who don't know, you might have said, well, I can divide by 5. All right, some of you else might have said, well, I know I can divide by 3. And so if I can divide by 5 and divide by 3, that means I can divide by 15. All right, so that just becomes what? 3/5. All right, and do I care if you use a calculator? No, I don't care, but in class, you shouldn't use a calculator. All right, you shouldn't. All right, so now let's knock out 19. Now, individually, you look at the numbers. 4/6. What does 4/6 reduce to?
2/3.
Yes. So the first thing we do is we write the fraction 2/3. How many x's on top? How many on the bottom? So that leaves us 3. Where at? On the top. Now, like I said, we did this, so it's a review, but if you're like, I don't remember that, that's okay. Does anybody need help with that? Anybody have any questions? Nobody. Yes, you're subtracting. Now, for those of you guys who want to see the logic behind it, x to the 5th means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there are 2 x's on the bottom. So what do? Cross those out, cross those out. Now, technically, x divided by x is what? What's x divided by x? Okay, let's think of something a little bit harder. What's 3 divided by 3? 1. So when you're dividing, does it become 0? No, it becomes a what? 1. So technically this is 1 times 1, which is still what? 1. All right, hopefully that helps, or hopefully you understand what I'm trying to show you. So the final answer here was just 2x cubed over 3. All right, so let's take now a look at number 20. Everybody write the answer to what you think number 20 is. And this is what I'm trying to tell you about. Do you know? All right, write what you think the answer is. Then you're going to look at my answer and you're going, yeah, I know what I'm doing, finally. All right. If you miss it, then you ask me a question. All right, write the answer down. (25 over 20) reduces to 5 over 4. Reduce the numbers first. Then you look at the exponents. I'm left with x to the 4th on the top. That's simple, right? Simple, simple, simple. Come on, guys. All right. Now, again, 21. I teach my kids, put an equal sign, put a fraction bar. Reduce the number. 10 over 25 reduces to what? 2 over 5. How many x's are on the top starting out? 2. How many on the bottom? 1. So I'm left with where at? On the top. How many y's on the top? How many on the bottom? So you're left with 3. Where? That's how easy. You're right, very easy. All right, let's keep going. Okay, I need some help with 18 over 24. What does that reduce to? 3 over 4. Anybody have any issues with that? So I'm doing 3 over 4. How many A's on the top? How many on the bottom? So that leaves me where? On the bottom. A squared on the bottom. And there is no B. Come on, speak up. Hey. How many A's on the bottom? Right. Wherever there's more, that's where they end up at. Because technically A to the 4 on the bottom is A. On the top is just A and A. These cancel. You with me? So there's A squared on the bottom. Come on now. Easy. All right, here we go. Let's knock out 23. 42 divided by 14 is what? 3. What kind of 3? Negative 3. How many x's are left on the top? 2. How many y's? Where do they go? On the bottom as what? Y squared. Everybody happy with that? Good? All right. Reducing 24. 3 over 4. And then
X squared on the top.
X squared on the top.
And Y on the top.
And Y on the top. Good? Anybody? All right, so now I'm going to give you a second. Everybody try 25. 30 seconds. Put the timer on the clock. Shh, shh, shh. Ten seconds. Okay. 28 and 84, what does that reduce to? 1/3. Anybody have a problem with that? Shh, shh, shh. A, what do we have with A? Where's the A cubed go? Then what about the B?
B squared on the top.
B squared on the top, and then
C squared on the bottom.
C squared on the bottom. All right, that was nice. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. All right, so let's now take a look at 26. Give you 30 seconds. Go. Shh, 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 shh. No talking. Let's get it done. Fifteen seconds. Five seconds. All right, perfect. All right, 52 and 39. What does that reduce to?
-4/3.
All right, let's write the fraction. Anybody having trouble with -4/3? All right, so tell me about the p's.
P squared on the top.
P squared on the top,
And Q squared on the bottom.
Q squared on the bottom,
There's no R's.
and there's no r's. Right, like I said, you have to decide if you know what you're doing or not. Right? Anybody have any issues with that? All right, I agree, easy. All right, now let's take a look at 27. Now, there's addition and subtraction, so it's done differently. If you see addition and subtraction, the first thing should come to your mind would be what word? Factoring. All right, you are factoring. All right, it's again, very simple, very simple. So equals, what can I factor out here? GCF. What's the GCF in the numerator? 2 is a common factor, but not, there's a common 6, right? So I factor out a 6. What's left behind? X minus 4. Now, the denominator probably has a what factor in it? I mean, everybody's, it's probably going to have a what? X minus 4. All right, how does x squared minus 16 factor? I'm listening, go. Yes, yes, x plus 4 and then x minus 4. All right, that is correct. Now, what two things can cancel out now? The x minus 4 and the x minus 4. All right, the two that are the same cross out. So you're left with what? 6 over x plus 4. So the name of the game is factor, 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 cross out. All right, here we go on 28. So what is the numerator factor to?
X minus 5, X plus 5.
X minus 5, X plus 5. And what's common in the denominator? When you factor out a 3, you get what? What am I? X minus 5. So now what happens? What crosses out?
The 2x minus 5.
X minus 5 cancels, so you're left with
X plus 5 over 3.
X plus 5 over 3. Do you have to have the parentheses now? No. But if you want, you can. It's not wrong. All right, so just factoring. That's all you have to do. Factor, 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 cross out. All right, so here we go. 29. All right. What does the denominator? What is the GCF in the denominator? 6. So if I factor out a 6, what's left behind?
Plus 1.
X plus 1. Perfect. Now, what do you think there's on the top?
The parentheses.
X plus 1 is going to be on the top because we're talking about reducing. So I want everybody to put X plus 1. Now, how did I know it was X plus 1? Because there's X plus 1 on the bottom. Now I need X squared. What's the only way I can make X squared? X and X. Now I need a plus 1. It's plus 1. That's right. No, that's what they factor to right now, correct? All right, how many X plus ones are at the top?
2.
How many are at the bottom?
1.
So I can cross out
1.
one of them. So my final answer is just X plus 1 over what? 6. Everybody okay with that? Everybody's good? All right, let's check out 30. All right. Now, the top. Everybody should be looking at that saying, I think there is a GCF. What's common? 5y. Whoever said that, thank you very much. There is a common 5y. So what's left behind? Yes. Y what? Y minus 2. That's exactly correct. Now, what do you think when we factor y squared plus y minus 6? There's going to be a y minus 2. All right, now I know I need y squared, so what's my other term going to be? Y, and I need a minus 6, so this is going to have to be a plus 3. Exactly, that's how easy it is, if you learn to use the information. So now, what can cross out here? Y minus 2 cancels, so I'm left with 5y over y plus 3. Now, can I cross out the y's now?
Yeah.
Things bounded by addition and subtraction cannot be crossed out. They must be bounded by what? Multiplication and division. So these two things, please listen for a second. This right here, these two things are bounded by what? Multiplication. These two things are bound together by what? Multiplication. I can cross out things bounded by multiplication. This y and the 3 are bounded by what? Addition. Can you cross out through addition? No, you cannot cross out through addition. You can only cross out through multiplication and division. All right, so here we go, 31. Now, which one's easier to factor?
The bottom.
So what's the bottom factor to?
X minus 7, X plus 7.
Exactly, X minus 7 and X plus 7. So that's going to make the top easy. It's either going to be what? Yeah, it's going to be X minus 7 or X plus 7. So I'm just going to go X and 7. Now I need X squared, so I know the first term is going to be what? I need a 14, so I know it's going to be a what? 2. Now I need negative 5.
The negative 7 and plus 2.
So the negative 7 and positive 2. That's how you should be thinking about it. And what happens to the 2x minus 7s?
They cancel.
Yep, cancel and cancel. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. All right, here we go. Let's knock out 32, please. All right, I want everybody to try to factor 32. All right, everybody try to factor the top one. Now, which one would I probably factor first? I'd probably, because I think the bottom one's easier. Then I use that information to factor the top. All right, so give you 45 seconds, a little bit harder.